shows today. Peloton up 5%.
What's up, disciplined investor?
We got Benzinga CEO Jason Raznick here with us.
The man, the myth, the legend, Tom Nash.
Peter Schiff on the Power Hour with us live today.
Interesting, different, unique, innovative companies.
Mia, you are live with us on the Power Hour. What's up?
Thank you so much for inviting me on.
Jessica Billingsley, that is the CEO of Akerna.
The best trade idea resource out there.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of ZingerNation. Happy Monday. You know what that means. The stock market is back open. Of course, if you're trading crypto, you can do that over the weekend. But if you're like me, that sticks mostly to stocks. You got to wait till Mondays. But hey, it makes Mondays a little bit more exciting and bearable. Mr. Jacobi, how are we doing on this fine Monday?
We're doing good, man. We have some winners today.
So
I'm going to propose something. I'm saying it's Monday. Let's wake up. Let's start the week off strong. I want to do 5 stocks, 10 minutes. And here's what I have on the list. You have Baba up on your screen, so we'll start there. We'll then do GM. We placed a trade on GM last week. Then let's move over to GameStop. We're going to add an E to that GM, do ticker GME. And then I want to grab a ticker out of the chat. I need a new swing trade. I'm like back in my full swing trading glory. I hit GM and I hit Voyager last week. I need another swing trade. So between now and then, guys, if you have swing trade candidates, drop them in the chat. I want to see where we're at.
yeah, I mean, we talked about it last week, Luke, going through those phases of entering a lot of trades versus, maybe you go a couple weeks where you aren't trading as often. So it sounds like, you're back in the swing of things. No pun intended when we're talking about swing trades. But real quick, we've got 5 stocks, 10 minutes, starting with Baba. So right now I've got the hourly chart up. Let me pull up the daily chart. We can see we had 3 really strong days in a row. And last Friday, Luke, I bought a call contract with an $170 strike that expires this Friday. My thesis there was that, hey, look, for multiple days in a row, Baba has been outperforming the market, showing relative strength, and I want to get in on this. So here's my Robinhood. Let me pull it up on the screen. So this was just one contract. You can see right here, I bought it for, here, let me give you a couple plus signs, get a little zoomed in. Bought it for $164. Currently, the contract is 226, so it's up about 37% total. So I kind of screwed up, Luke, because if I would have sold it this morning right at the open, I would have been up. If you look at the contract, it was $360. Now it's all the way down to 227. So I've cost myself about $130 waiting. But I wanted to see if, could I get, instead of an 100% return, maybe a 200% return? Maybe I was getting a little too greedy.
What's the date that your contract expires?
This Friday, October 15th. It was just a weekly call. So the thesis was I thought this relative strength was going to continue into today, which it has. And the question becomes, is that strength going to continue tomorrow, the day after? So I want to throw this out to ZingerNation. If you guys think I should just let this ride, this is only one contract, so it's not something where I can, sell half, keep half.
Okay, dang it. I was just about to ask how many you had. It's 1.
Yeah, so if I had 10, that would be the easy decision, right? To sell 5, take profits off the board, let the rest run. But since I only have 1, it wasn't really a high conviction trade. I'm going to throw this ask out there to ZingerNation. Should I go ahead and take my 33% profits, my $50, sell the contract and get out? If you think that's what I should do, drop a 1. If you think I should at least hold on to this through the afternoon, maybe into tomorrow morning, give me a 2. So give me a 2 if you think I should be a little more risky. Let this ride. A 1 if you think, hey, Aaron, you made a good call. The contract's up 33%. Sell it and get into something else.
I don't know, man. I think bail. Well, what's your percent gain on it?
33% total. Let's see. It's a mixed bag. Shelly's saying close, it's going down. Troy saying
you're basically the reason that you would still own it is for momentum. Is that fair to say?
Yes. Yeah, 100%.
And if you look at the chart today, we opened really strong. We're pretty much at low of the day today. I don't love that, and you already have a nice return on it. That's why I'm saying bail.
Okay, so Luke's saying bail.
I always go back to the why do I own the stock? Why do I own the stock? That's what I always go back to. And if it's for the momentum, we're at low a day today after opening way higher. We're already down, what, $5? That's why I'm saying bail.
Yeah. Okay. So looking at the chat, it is still divided. Tiny Pie is saying Diamond hands it. Steve is saying sell it. So Luke, since we are divided, you are going to act as the tiebreaker, and we've got your vote. So with that, we are going to sell to close this. My one contract, it says it's $2.18. I'm going to sell it for $2.15. I, can spare that $3 just to get the trade closed. There we go. Sold for $2.15. That's a nice little, let's see, I bought it for $164, sold it for $2.15. So it's about a $49 profit on that trade. There we go.
All right. So there's 1 of 5. Going on to 2 of 5. I'm going to take over the screen share now. Let's see. All right. There's GM, General Motors, swing trade that we hit last week. Here was the catalyst. We hit this last Wednesday. What happened was General Motors, they came out, they said they were going to double revenue by 2030. The market was getting hammered that day. The stock didn't move. The company also had an analyst day the next day. So we bought at the money calls expiring in 2 weeks on GM. Basically, the thesis was when we get out of this bear market, 1, 2, the analysts are going to come out with positive notes. The company just said they're going to double revenue. There are going to be positive analyst notes. So we did get that to flow through. The stock ripped. Let's pull it up in the live portfolio here. All righty, there we go. And we made out beautifully on our GM call. So again, we bought these last week on Wednesday. We're up. What percent is that? 336%. So that black percentage there, that's what we are up. Again, I always ask myself, why do I own the stock? Why did I get into the trade? The reason was for that pop on the GM news. We got it. That closes my reason to have it. So I am actually going to go ahead and close out this trade, producer AB. So yeah. we bought 5 contracts, made 330% on them, and now we are going to go ahead and sell those.
I love it, Luke. I mean, look, the thesis behind that trade was we had news on GM's revenue that should have moved the stock. It hadn't already. If you have Benzinga Pro, you would have gotten that news on the BZ wire and seen, hey, look, this this stock should be moving off this news. It hasn't already. So I'm going to get in now. And that's the beauty that's the, practical, benefit of having fast news like that is you can act on it before the stocks do a lot of the time.
Yes, that was definitely for my trusty Benzinga Pro. Pro.benzinga.com. 2 weeks free. Okay. Not to turn this into an infomercial, but it was absolutely a Benzinga Pro trade.
All right, Luke. So we're 2 stocks down. We've got 3 more to go. Like you said,
right.
Let's go ahead and add an E on there. Go from GM to GME.
All right, GameStop. I got back into GameStop a couple of weeks ago. I'm down 8% on the position right now. I am still holding it long. Let me zoom us out. There is a 1-year chart, daily candles on GameStop. We're getting some nice movement on the stock. Again, we saw this is a Benzinga Pro I'm using, but we saw increased interest on Wall Street bets again. Probably the cause for the move that we're getting today. The reason for owning GameStop is there's 2. One is from a pure valuation perspective. At $180 a share, the stock is not crazily expensive. It's trading at like 2 times revenue, right? It's not like valuation is totally disconnected from reality. So there's one right there, and that sort of puts in a floor on our price. Number 2 is that this stock absolutely has a habit of making big runs, and it's been a while since GameStop has made one of these big runs. So for that reason, I am in GameStop. Again, bringing it up today because it has some price movement. It's up 7.5% today. I'm still down about 8% on my position.
So Luke, I have a couple of thoughts there. Money Mitch in the chat is throwing out. He's saying, Luke, look at the AMC $40 monthly calls. And looking at AMC, I mean, AMC is only up about 3% today. So my thesis is that, if we see GameStop close up 7-8%, AMC should catch up to that. I think they'll trade up higher more closely to what GameStop is compared to being up only 3% while GameStop is up 7-8%. I think GameStop can be kind of a leading indicator for AMC. And Luke, if you go back to your Benzinga Pro, maybe you can go throw a chat in that options thing and just ask Nick.
Oh,
Shaheen.
so Mitch is saying, look at these calls that are expiring on Friday.
No, he's saying monthlies. So
yeah, the monthlies expire on Friday.
Oh, okay.
The front month. If you go out a month, you have 39 days.
Yeah.
I'll give it a run. I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, I like that. And like I said, on the Benzinga Pro and the options chat, you can go ahead and throw a chat in there.
Yeah,
say, hey,
I
Nick,
love that. I love that idea of a GameStop leading.
You can say, hey, Nick Shaheen, I'm going to buy 5 contracts of AMC. What do you think about that? Nick Shaheen, he's one of my go-to guys when it comes to options. If you're interested in trading options, I would very highly recommend checking out that options chat and unusual activity in Benzinga Pro. Let me know if you need a link. All right, Luke, we do have to keep it moving, though, so we've hit
All right, so
Alibaba.
we just did 4. We did Baba, GM, GME, AMC, throwing out the YOLO swing trade. There is a thesis for it. It's not a total YOLO. And let's do the last one before we're about to bounce. Ticker LUV, Southwest Airlines off 2% today. Company out, canceled more than 1,000 flights. Who had a ticket for one of those canceled Southwest flights? I did. It was hell. So I was, Aaron and I were at FinTwit Conf in Florida all weekend. Amazing experience. Great networking, great companies there, great personalities there. On my way home, that's where I ran into issues. So I got to the airport to find out that my flight was in fact canceled. The line to get your flight rebooked was estimated to be 4 hours because they canceled literally every single flight that was leaving the Orlando airport on Southwest. I ended up making it home. I tried to fly standby on 2 Delta flights home. Didn't get either of them. Then flew standby on a Spirit flight home. Got it. Was back in Detroit by 2 a.m. Long night. But again, Southwest, absolutely brutal flight cancellations. That said, we've seen time and time again. I mean, it seems like a monthly or at least quarterly occurrence where some major airline will go out, cancel a ton of flights for a day or a 2-day period. The stock gets hammered off of the headlines over the weekend, and it doesn't seem to have any lasting impact. I'm not going to be hitting a trade on this one right now. Like I just hit the AMC trade. But if I had to pick one direction or another on Southwest, I'd say this is immaterial. It happens. Not justification for the stock to be down as much as 5% that it was this morning.
See, Luke, I think I disagree with you there. I think if I had to pick a position, I'd be buying like weekly puts. And the reason why is because I was expecting the stock to be trading down a little bit more today than 2%. I told our good buddy Matt Kolb yesterday that I think the stock's going to open down 4%. So I think this could be a case of, I think we could see like 2-3 days in a row where this stock is down 2%. And then eventually, once it gets down below that $50 level, we see that previous support at around $47. That's when I could see buyers coming in. So I think this still has room to drop. But of course,
All right, let's throw it to the chat. I say if you had to pick one way or another, and neither of us are trading this, hit Southwest long. AB says hit it short. If you guys would hit it long, put a 1 in the chat. If you'd hit it short, put a 2 in the chat. I want to see where everybody's at on this thing.
I mean, full disclosure, I do hold Southwest in a lot of long-term or in my long-term portfolio. I think it is one of the, leaders in that industry in airlines. I think Southwest and Delta kind of do things better than some of the other competitors. So maybe I'm more on the short side in the short term just to kind of hedge that long position. But, like I said, Luke, I just can't imagine people coming in and buying, like seeing like, oh my God, this is such a great deal. It's only down 2%.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that there's anybody coming in and buying it. But again,
wait, which one was 1?
What one was you'd hit it long.
Okay, Troy and Wade both agree with you. No one agrees with me yet so far on the short side. Paul Riley says he disconnected as soon as you talked about Southwest. Sorry about that, Paul, but this is a financial news channel, so we will cover the financial news. Shadowed One agrees with me. Says it says he would be short. Troy followed us in on the AMC calls. $40 calls for Friday. Let's go. We'll be
Wish us luck. We're in it together. We all YOLO'd some AMC calls. Let's see if I got filled. Did you? Oh, I'm filled, baby. Let's go. Woo! All right, we're in it. Filled at 104.
Let's go. And so again, the thesis there is that, hey, GameStop is up about 8% today. AMC is not up as much when it should be. So we're saying GME could be a leading indicator for AMC. AMC will catch up with GameStop. So, all right, Luke. Well, we got through our 5 stocks in 10 minutes. We do have our first guest here, Marc Hazout, CEO of Susglobal, a really interesting energy company. So I'm excited to get Marc on and talk to him. Anything else on your radar for today, Luke?
No, big interview. Let's hit it.
All right. Without further ado, going to go ahead and bring Marc on the stream. Marc, how's it going? Thank you for taking time out of your Monday to join us on the Benzinga Power Hour.
Thank you.
So before we get started, do you mind just giving our audience a brief overview of Susglobal and kind of what the mission is with your company?
Of course. So Susglobal, first of all, we're filing an S1 and uplisting to the NASDAQ. So that's an important initiative for us. We're now, the symbol is SNRG. We trade on the OTCQB. We're a fully reporting U.S. issuer. What the company does is it processes large volumes of organic waste streams from municipalities and produces fertilizers as part of the circular economy initiative and circular economy model. We actually take in these organic waste streams and divert them from landfill to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, also part of the climate change initiative. And for the first time this quarter, for our year end, we're monetizing carbon credits, which I think your audience and the market, it should impact us positively. We feel that the company is very much undervalued, very low market capitalization, and it's not even reflecting the true intrinsic value of our real estate. We own all the processing plants that we process these organic waste streams. So again, 3 revenue models: the tipping fee that we receive from the municipalities, and then the sale of the regenerative products that we produce, and finally the carbon credits. And I think we're going to get a lot more traction on the NASDAQ. I think that's where we need to be, because we're going to see significant exponential revenue growth in 2022 when we commercialize one of our proprietary products, which recently won an innovation award. So that's pretty much the background on the company and where we're at.
Yeah, so Marc, I think it's really interesting here, and I have the different revenue streams pulled up. And as you mentioned, I think for a lot of investors, it's very important for a company to have kind of multiple revenue streams. Is there one in particular? I mean, I imagine the fertilizer one is kind of the main one. Is that the one you're most excited about, most confident in?
That's right. The fertilizer sales will represent, those revenues will represent 80%, obviously, of the revenues. The fertilizer market is a $200 billion per annum market. And then there's a subset to that market. That's the organic fertilizer market. And that's growing at a CAGR of 11.3% to $19 billion per annum. So we sell into that market. And now there's a significant demand for organic fertilizers because of the demand for organic products, everything from organic from cannabis. We sell our products to the cannabis industry. We sell our product to the wine industry. There's a lot of organic wine that's being grown, and of course, just agriculture and crop. I mean, we've all shopped at Whole Foods, so there's a demand for organic products. And then, of course, the pandemic has caused food, global food demand and supply chain issues. So fertilizers are now at their highest value in history, and we're here to take a piece of that market and sell these proprietary organic fertilizer products that now are selling at big box stores under one of our generic brands, Home Depot, Rona's, Lowe's, and then of course we wholesale to agriculture in big vats. We sell 1,000-liter vats to agriculture. So yes, it's the fertilizer. To answer your question, the fertilizer is going to drive the revenue for the company moving forward.
And so Marc, I'm curious, so I imagine people in your industry, in the, clean energy industry, are very familiar with the idea of carbon credits and what goes on in trading them. But I think a lot of investors, don't have a strong idea of what's going on there. Do you mind just elaborating on what it means to trade carbon credits?
Of course. So for example, with Susglobal, we have facilities that divert organic waste from landfill. And that's important because what that does is it reduces greenhouse gas emissions. Historically, all organic waste was being sent to landfill. And of course, in a landfill, it'll create methane gas. And that's what you want to avoid if you're reducing greenhouse gas emissions as part of the climate change initiative. So all the organic waste that's being diverted to our facilities, and we know right down to the kilo of how many tons are being diverted from landfill. Third-party auditors will come in and they'll audit, and then they have a formula as to how much carbon we're reducing, and then we sell those carbon credits right now in a voluntary market. So we'll see revenue from that this quarter. We've been in operations for 4 years, so we've been able to actually go back 4 years. We're going to be capturing credits for the last 4 years, and then of course moving forward until eventually we're on a mandatory marketplace where carbon credits could fetch as much as $50 per ton. And there's some governments are legislating that by 2030 it'll be $150 per ton. So this is great for us. When you look at Tesla, when they announced they were able to monetize their carbon credits, it was the first time they showed a profit. Of course, you got to sell cars, but it's important to us to let the marketplace know that we can monetize these carbon credits and sell them into a voluntary market to emitters who are creating too much greenhouse gas emissions. To offset that, they buy the carbon credits from us or through this voluntary market where we sell our carbon credits.
Understood. So Marc, I've got the slide up right now that shows the demand for organic fertilizer and food. Do you anticipate some of this demand slowing down if we see some of these like supply chain issues and maybe some of these problems arise where we just need to get food on the table, we need to get food in stores, so maybe the demand for organic kind of takes a back seat?
Well, for example, we sell into the overall fertilizer market. We're just selling a superior product in the fertilizer marketplace. There are many applications where they don't want to use chemicals. Right now, for example, 50% of the cannabis demand in Canada is for organic cannabis. And in order to grow organic cannabis, you can't use any chemicals or any fertilizers with any kind of we don't use biosolids or any type of manures. It's all pretty much food waste that we organic food waste that we turn into the organic fertilizer. So, but in the near future, we only see more issues in the supply chain. China now is not letting anything be exported. There's a shortage for phosphates, which has been traditionally used in the production of fertilizers. So in the near future, we're only going to see an increase in demand for these products, for fertilizers in general, and of course for organic fertilizers. Each time I'm at the wine shop, I see more and more organic wines being produced. So again, to grow organic wine, you need organic fertilizer. So that marketplace is only growing, and you can see it as a subset that it's growing at a CAGR 11.3% to $19 billion for the organic market. But we're still a significant player and party in the overall fertilizer market, because our model allows us to produce 1,000 liters of our proprietary product for every ton of organic waste that we process. So that's a significant supply, and there's a demand for it. So we see our revenues growing exponentially with the fertilizer demand.
So Marc, I see on this slide, it says that Susglobal products are sold under third-party private labels at some big retail stores, including Lowe's and Home Depot. Real quick, what does it mean to be sold under a third-party private label?
So some of these retailers decide to put their label on our products. So, for example, Lowe's, we make a 20-kilo bag of organic compost for Lowe's. We sell under one of our own brands, generic brand, not the Susgrow brand, but another brand. For example, you can find it on Amazon online. But many of these big box retailers prefer to pay a wholesale price and use their own brand than retail our Susgrow brand, which is fine with us as long as we generate revenue and keep the product, keep production, an increase in production. We're fine with that, because the product retails for about $30 to 39 Canadian dollars per liter. And we can wholesale the product from anywhere between $5 and $10, depending on the volume. So we've got significant margins and EBITDA, and we continue to see recurring sales from these big box and from some of the larger cannabis growers. I think that to answer your question, even the cannabis growers are looking to do private label, putting their own label or their own brand on our bottles or our compost bags, and that's fine with us.
Yeah, so I see here's some pictures of a couple of the different fertilizer brands. I see the Humboldt Secret one. Do you expect this, the fertilizers you're selling for, cannabis, hemp, do you expect that to be to grow as we see that industry grow?
Absolutely. So in Canada, as you know, cannabis is being legalized across the board. So there's a growing demand, and certainly for organic fertilizer. And then, of course, across the border in the U.S. In certain states, eventually we expect that all states will legalize. But what's really important to know about Susglobal is the barrier to entry. If you look at these comparison products, they can't scale up. So if they're making a liquid organic fertilizer from fish oils or seaweed or whatever the case may be, they're limited because they don't have environmental compliance approval licenses that we do at our significantly large facilities. We have one facility, it's 120,000 metric tons per annum. The second facility is 65,000 metric tons per annum. So 185,000 metric tons of total organic waste processing capacity in our regional model, and we can produce 1,000 liters for every ton that we process. So that it's a barrier to entry. They're limited in terms of production. We are not, because we have the feedstock, the volumes of feedstock, and we're paid a tipping fee to take the feedstock, and we have the environmental licenses, which are issued by the Ministry of the Environment to be able to take in these large volumes. So that's the competitive advantage that Susglobal has.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very important to kind of introduce organic fertilizers into the cannabis and hemp industry, because before it was legalized and regulated, that was one of the big problems with people buying cannabis, off the street, was that, when you actually studied it, there was a lot of inorganic, pesticides and fertilizers left on the actual cannabis. So now that we venture into this era of regulated and legalized, I think there will be a lot more demand for organic, cannabis that's grown organically. So I guess my next question is, of course, someone like myself who might want to grow something could go out and buy this. But are you working on any more corporate partnerships with any like big cannabis growing companies?
Yes, of course. So again, we've got some co-branding agreements, and we continue to sell to some of the larger producers. So yes, absolutely, we do. And in the near future, I think we'll be able to disclose that publicly, both through press release issuances, and of course in our quarterly filings and disclosure. But yes, that's what Susglobal is doing with the cannabis companies, and with some of the larger wine producers, and some of the larger we do sell to certain farm co-ops that are significantly large here in Canada and in the US. So yes, the co-branding, strategic partnerships, those are very important to us.
Yeah, and speaking of strategic partnerships, we've got the list of partnerships up here right now. Are there any that stick out to you as like this is huge for Susglobal that we're partnered with X company?
Well, you've got we're members of the Canadian Compost Council, and in order to make organic compost, you have to meet certain parameters, and we're pleased to be one of the only compost producers that can make a AA compost. That's a pure organic compost. That means we don't use biosolids, we don't use manures. It's just food, just organic food waste that we convert through our proprietary methods into AA organic compost.
Understood. So further down the presentation, we see some company objectives for 2022. Is there anything in particular, you're very excited about in the next year or 2 years or so?
Definitely the commercialization at our new Hamilton facility. So we're going from producing 1,000 liters a day to 100,000 liters a day. And that's very exciting, because then our revenues will, it'll be pretty much an exponential jump, and that'll be reflected in the valuation of the company and eventual market capitalization. That's why the NASDAQ listing is so important to us, because it definitely will have more traction on the NASDAQ, and be valued based on fundamentals. We'll have analyst coverage, and based on the revenues and the assumptions that we're projecting, we see Susglobal as being a significant share appreciation from here, certainly.
Understood. So Marc, on that note, is there anything in particular, that you can, talk about today that investors should be excited about in the next year or so?
Well, definitely the uplisting to the NASDAQ. I think, there are a lot of investors that are like the story. It's a compelling story. They like the projections and so on, but they can't buy on the OTC markets. So certainly being on the NASDAQ is a significant achievement for us, and we're really looking forward to that, to meeting that initiative and trading on the NASDAQ. That's really important for us over the next several months.
Yeah, and I know you might not have like an exact date, but any sort of timeline on that uplisting?
Well, our S1 is being filed in the next few weeks, and then of course it all depends on when it goes effective. But when it does go effective, then we expect to proceed.
Is there any sort of minimum, stock price requirement that you need to be uplisted on the NASDAQ?
Yes. So you have to trade at $4. So at some point when this is when the S1 goes effective, and you decide to price with the underwriter, because we are proceeding with a $12 million US underwriting with the uplisting. At that point, you'd have to consolidate, based on where the share price is. So there's a window of when we can actually uplist, because you have to keep your filings, so they can't go stale. So it's either after we file our September 30th 10Q, our third quarter, which comes on November 15th, or after we file our year-end 10K, the December 31st, which comes out March 31st. So that's really sort of the window of when we expect to uplist, should the S1 registration statement go effective within that time frame.
So, Mark, would that be done with a reverse stock split?
That's right. Depending on where the share price is, that really at the time of pricing. So if you're trading at $1, you'd have to do a 4-for-1. If you're trading at $2, you'd have to do a 2-for-1, etc.
Understood. Well, definitely sounds like a lot of investors have, some catalysts to look forward to, including that uplisting. And we'll be looking out for those press releases when more announcements, are released. And we'd love to have you on the show again as this news comes out so we can discuss it straight with you.
Wonderful. I look forward to it. Hopefully the next time we're speaking, we're on trading on NASDAQ.
Yeah, that would be amazing. So, Mark, thank you for taking time out of your busy Monday for joining us. And as I said, I look forward to having you back on the Power Hour. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much. Take care.
No problem. All right, y'all. That was Susglobal CEO Marc Hazout. Very exciting fertilizer company in the clean energy space. Like Mark mentioned, the demand for organic fertilizers will continue to grow. So this is definitely one that we are going to have to add to the watch list. Keep our eye out for. Like Mark mentioned, there may be some catalysts coming up in the near future, including a NASDAQ uplisting. Let me go ahead and pull my Benzinga Pro back up. We'll go ahead and take a look at some of the trades we made earlier. And let me know in the chat what everyone else is trading today, because, it's been, I'm not going to say a slow Monday because we've got AMC moving, we've got GameStop moving, but, I don't think we've seen any crazy. Let's just look at the SPY real quick. I mean, SPY is pretty flat. It's up 0.12%. So, let's see what's going on here. Got to refresh. And just quick programming note, coming up in about 5 minutes, we have Sean Folkson, CEO of NightFood, coming back on. Of course, if you tuned in with us a couple of weeks ago, this is the company that's making ice cream that does not disrupt your sleep. So if you're like me and you like to eat ice cream before bed, this product is perfect for you because it allows you to eat ice cream without the worry of, all this sugar and carbs are going to disrupt my sleep. So yeah, SPY is up barely, pretty flat. Let's check in on GameStop, up 7% today. This is nothing new for GameStop, right? What I like about this right now is if we see it close up this high, it looks like the next meaningful resistance could be around the $200 level. So Luke and I made a trade on AMC earlier under the thesis that, hey, if GameStop is up, AMC should be up as much as GameStop is, if not more. So the fact that it's up only 2.5% compared to the 7% that GameStop is up, we're betting that this is going to kind of revert to the mean, and usually stocks trade together. So for this to be lagging behind GameStop, we're expecting it to catch up. Of course, this is not, trading advice or anything like that. This is just what Luke and I are doing. Let me get the disclosure up there. All content is for informational purposes and not to be used as investment advice. Opinions do not represent those of Benzinga. Hosts and guests may maintain positions in the securities discussed on the show. Like I mentioned earlier, I do hold Southwest in my long-term holding. So I am looking at some puts in Southwest just because, look, with all this news of flight cancellations, pilots maybe boycotting or striking because of the vaccine mandate, I think that stock's got to trade down more than 2%, right? 2% can be like a normal day, not a day where you have, very bad news that's out of the ordinary in the industry. I think United Airlines and some other airlines that have, enforced these vaccine mandates have actually had a pretty smooth process with it. I mean, of course, there are probably, employees that quit or are disgruntled over it, but I don't think we've seen anything like the Southwest one where airlines have just had to cancel not, 20, 30, 40 flights, but thousands of flights, at least 1,000 yesterday and over the weekend. So to me, this has got to come down lower. I think once we wrap up the show here, I'm going to look at some weekly puts and I'll let y'all know what I end up doing there. Because even from the chart perspective, without the news, it looks like this could come back down to this $48 level where we have previous resistance. And at that point, we can see this sustained bottom and it looked good that we could be coming back up here, but I think this news is going to get in the way of this run back up to $60. Again, I do hold this long in my portfolio. I love Southwest Airlines. I fly with them, primarily. So I do still like the company long term. I just think in the short term, this has got to come down more than two. And we see it moving lower now if we go to the 15-minute chart. So looks like we could be coming back down to this $52 level flat. I don't know if we have any day traders out there that are just scalping real quickly. But all right, y'all. That's enough of me bloviating about Southwest Airlines. I'm going to go ahead and bring my good friend Sean on. He's now a recurring guest, his second time on the Benzinga Power Hour. Sean is the CEO of NightFood. Without further ado, let's go ahead and bring Sean on the show. Sean, welcome back to the Benzinga Power Hour. How you doing this Monday?
Great, Aaron. How are you doing?
I am good. So what is new in your world?
Well, I want to make sure, first of all, did you get the ice cream we sent you?
We did. So we got a package of, I believe, 8 pints of a variety of flavors. Let me see if I can find on the website where okay, so we did get, I think all of these maybe, but Sean, I know I mentioned to you, one of my favorite parts about it was before I got a chance to try the ice cream, because we got the package in the morning, I had the ability to kind of play with some of the dry ice that it was shipped with. That was always one of my favorite things in science class as a kid, to put some dry ice in water and look at the, chemical reaction from that. So it's very dangerous. If you're a child, do not do it without parent supervision.
I know we'll probably have a lot of kids watching, right?
Yeah, I mean, our main audience of traders is like 8 to 10. So,
Right.
Do not play with the dry ice without your parents. But Sean, I got to ask, so definitely the most interesting flavor that we got was this pickles for 2-1. What was the idea behind putting out a pickle flavored ice cream?
So in early 2020, we were named the official ice cream of the American Pregnancy Association. So what we found was, we were seeing pregnant women posting pictures on Instagram of them with their night food, and ice cream literally is the #1 pregnancy craving. And when we saw this, I did some research and we got in touch with our team and we said, look, pregnant women are told to eat more of some things and less of other things. How does night food line up with what is being advised? And what we discovered, what it turned out was that a lot of the nutritional decisions we made that helped make night food more appropriate for nighttime also made it a better choice for pregnant women. And what we found was that the American Pregnancy Association and Johns Hopkins University and the Mayo Clinic and the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, they all have their guidelines and their recommendations, the bump, what to expect, all the pregnancy websites. And it was all pretty much aligned with what we did with night food. So, less sugar, of course, more protein, more fiber, fewer calories, calcium, magnesium, zinc. So these were all things that that lined up. And we reached out to the American Pregnancy Association and we mentioned to them, hey, look, we're seeing women with their night food. We've done some research. It looks like this lines up. What do you guys think? And they loved it. And so really right away, we became the official ice cream of the American Pregnancy Association. And right up there with ice cream, of course, if you pay attention to, media stereotypes, is that pregnant women also crave pickles. And it's true. Research shows that these are 2 of the largest cravings. So in order to kind of generate some buzz and introduce ourselves into that pregnancy community, we introduced and developed a flavor called Pickles for 2. And it's for pregnant women. And we do market to pregnant women. And we think that's going to be a significant and important demographic for us, now and into the future.
I love that, Sean, because I didn't know that whole background, and I figured it would just be like, oh, we thought it'd be fun to kind of put an unconventional ice cream flavor out there. But now it all makes sense because, as you mentioned, women that are pregnant may prefer NightFood as it's a healthy alternative, won't disrupt their sleep, which sleep is, of course, very important for someone who's pregnant. And then you combine two of the most popular cravings for pregnant women, as you mentioned, ice cream and pickles. And now the name even makes more sense for me. Pickles for two, right? So that's very clever. I see on your site right now, pregnant mamas try it for free. I got to ask, do you have any way of vetting that? Like if someone applies and says they're pregnant, do you just take them for their word?
We do. I mean, I guess, we know consumers, some people will stoop to some pretty low levels. Impersonating a pregnant woman is not really the highest of character traits, just to get some free ice cream. I'm sure there's some people doing it, but we do have a similar program, which is for everybody else, which is one free pint. What's part of the challenge for being a startup new brand in the snack space is getting people to be aware of and to try products. And one of the big things that brands typically do or used to do pre-COVID was in-store product sampling and demonstrations. And that's really been shut down. So brands have gotten very creative. There's some other major brands that are doing similar things. Brave Robot, which is another ice cream company from, and they're doing a non-dairy ice cream. They also have the same program in place with the same vendor. But there's a lot of snack companies that are figuring out ways to do free samples. It allows us to obviously drive some trial. It allows us to capture information and build a relationship directly with the person who captures that rebate. And so since we're already prepared to do one free pint for everybody, we think hopefully that would also decrease the number of people that would stoop to impersonating a pregnant woman. But I'm sure there's some people doing it. But you know what? We've got systems in place so everybody can only get one rebate. So if somebody beats us out of $5 by impersonating a pregnant woman, then they've got to live with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense, as you mentioned, when you're growing and trying to get the brand out, you're willing to take that risk that someone's gonna, stoop that low and do something like that because, hey, look, at the end of the day, you're still that person may decide, hey, even though I'm not actually pregnant and I got this ice cream for free, I love it, I want to order more.
Yeah, and driving trial, Aaron, I mentioned it's the trickiest and hardest and most expensive thing for food and beverage startups, and that goes back, well before COVID. And that's part of, we talked last time about our introduction into hotels. And for anybody that didn't catch the last interview, NightFood is going to be rolling into our first major hotel chain. We're expecting to be able to announce that hopefully in the next few weeks, who the partner is exactly. And from there, we expect to take on, we're already in talks with several of the largest hotel conglomerates in the world about putting NightFood into their properties. And in that environment, we know the product sells well, and each sale in a hotel, it's kind of like a paid trial, but the consumer is paying for the right to try the product in that environment. So, it's a sale, but people are much more likely in that environment to try. First of all, their whatever their main choice is probably not available. Hotels typically have a very small selection of ice cream. Plus, because there's very little available, people will typically consider more options. In that supermarket, there's literally hundreds and hundreds of different pints to choose from. Ben & Jerry's alone might have 25 or 30 flavors. And a brand like NightFood, if we're in there with four flavors or whatever, we might literally make up 1% of the set. So, tying back in, the importance of driving trial, that's part of the reason that we think that the hotel distribution is going to be such a huge catalyst for us in 2022.
Yeah, and I mean, I imagine that the hotel integrations will open up other partnerships. If you want to expand that to say cruise lines or something along that nature. Basically anywhere someone's traveling and they want something that allows them to have a sleep friendly alternative. I think too, what would be really interesting is going to like student stores of colleges and universities, because I know myself in college and basically everyone I knew in college, struggled with getting enough sleep. And you also have like the late night cravings while you're studying and cramming for a test. So I think that could be a very natural fit.
Yeah, we're actually already working on both of those things. So you're right on the money. Great minds think alike, or however you want to put it. But yeah, we definitely see opportunity in other elements of travel, in particular, airlines as well. On those red-eye flights, they always give a little dessert after the dinner is served, and certainly college campuses, we think is a great opportunity. And once we're in full distribution through the hotel partnerships, then we'll have more opportunity to execute on those other potential partnerships as well.
So Sean, we got a couple more things to get through, but real quick, yeah. I've got, essentially the NightFood Nation on your site here. There's some very interesting people on here, like a wide breadth of different stars, from, the 5 Seconds of Summer lead guitar, Michael Clifford, to Rocco Medier, who, of course, Rocco Medier was famous for the playoff he had against Tiger in, I believe, the U.S. Open or PGA Championship back in the day. So how are these, endorsers selected?
Well, so most of that activity is from a couple of years ago. And, we were on a platform. I'm trying to remember. So we're on a platform. I don't remember what it was called. I apologize, but we're on a platform that helps connect brands with athletes primarily. And so through that, we got contacted. We connected with Tyler Eifert, who was with the Cincinnati Bengals at the time. We got connected with Richard Sherman and Jarvis Landry, and then Jordan Jenkins, who was playing for the Jets, my Jets. We got connected with him, and he became one of our ambassadors. And he's really good friends with Michael Clifford from 5 Seconds of Summer. They vacation together and all that stuff. And so I'm trying to remember how it happened, but I guess Jordan emailed me and he said, hey, something like, my buddy Michael from 5 Seconds of Summer, just heard about NightFood and he would really love to try some. And I think it came in like a Sunday night, and Monday when I went into the system, there was an order. He had already placed an order Michael had for a few flavors. And so we rounded him up to all 8 flavors, and he got the ice cream, and he just fell in love with it. And that's kind of how that came together, really organically. I get Michael was always eating, full fat ice cream at night. And I guess, when you're in your early 20s, you can kind of get away with that stuff, a lot more easily than as you get older. But his fiance was all over him that, hey, you shouldn't be eating this stuff at night right before bed. So when they heard about it, it was just a perfect fit, and he loved the ice cream, and it all came together pretty quick.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I was just kind of fascinated with this list because it's so diverse and different people on here. I'd imagine that someone like Carly here on the list, it says fashion blogger, mom of 2. I would imagine influencers like that, that are maybe parents themselves or have families that have an audience of people who are, conscious of what they're feeding their kids or eating themselves. That would be a good, partnership opportunity there. And I got to ask, you mentioned your New York Jets. Did you get up early yesterday to watch the game in London?
I try to follow every game as close as I can. And it was they haven't been a great first quarter team this year, have they?
I mean, I don't know when the last time they have been a great first quarter team. Maybe the Rex Ryan days when they had that stout defense. How are you feeling on a scale from 1 to 10? 10 is super confident, 1 not confident at all on Zach Wilson right now.
The real problem with quarterbacks is, the talent that they're surrounded by, the skill positions, the offensive line. And I really don't know that the Jets have done enough to address particularly the offensive line. We saw Sam Darnold come out in Carolina, have a lot of success the first 3 weeks this season. Obviously, he wasn't playing against the best teams. One of the teams they beat was the Jets. But I think it's really hard to judge a quarterback in isolation. And, even Geno Smith came into the game, the Seattle game the other night, another former Jets quarterback, and he lit it up for a little bit there. So, I think if the Jets do a good enough job, putting some skill and putting some beef up in front on the offensive line, that, Zach Wilson can be great. But I probably, would have felt the same thing about Sam Darnold three years ago. And, quarterbacks, they can be great or not so great, but a lot of times they're also, the system that they're in and the talent they have around them and the coaching they have around them. So think the challenge for the Jets, they got a brand new offensive coordinator, who's really young. They don't really have a whole lot of talent around him. So I think it's going to be a kind of a long haul for the next couple of years, but hopefully not.
100% agreed. I think it's hard to gauge, a rookie quarterback when they have the, maybe a not so great system or team around them. So Sean, moving on to, we saw this article come out that PepsiCo is researching how ingredients affect mental performance. I'm just curious kind of how this news plays into NightFood, and what it means for NightFood being a potential takeover target down the road.
Well, I mean, specifically, the chief medical officer for Pepsi, and forgive me, his name is escaping me right now. Maybe you have it in front of you if you have the article. He specifically said, look, if we're going to, be playing in the functional space in food and beverages, we've identified that sleep is one of the critical things that we need to be paying attention to. And I think that, over the last really 6-7 months, and actually going back a little bit into last year, we've seen Nestle talk about this, executives at Nestle. We've seen Unilever announce that they launched a big study in March regarding how can diet and nutrition be used to affect better sleep around the world. And now Pepsi. So you've got three of the largest food and beverage companies in the world. I mean, Nestle, Unilever, and Pepsi. And they're all saying basically the same thing. They're saying, look, what we put in our bodies or what people put in their bodies can impact their sleep. We need to be paying attention to this. It is important. Nestle specifically said that they know that consumers care about what they're eating at night and eating something a little bit better before bed. So, I think that this really speaks to a category that is inevitable. It's a word that I've been using for years. There's too many people snacking at night. They know they're not doing optimal. They know it's not optimal. They know that, a lot of them feel guilty about it. The majority report feeling guilty, and they're making unhealthy choices, right? And ice cream is one of the top, along with cookies, chips, and candy. And, it's a situation where this is driven by biology. It's not just a behavior. It's not just a habit. This is not a trend. It's not something that's going to come and then go. We as humans are hardwired at night. It's a survival mechanism to load up on energy and fuel inside our body. And the most efficient way to put fuel in your body is with calorie-dense foods, sugars and fats. So that's what we crave at night. Willpower's weak. And that's why so many people snack at night. It's $1 billion a week being spent on snacks just consumed between dinner and bed. So here you have three of the largest food and beverage companies in the world identifying the role that nutrition plays in sleep. So all the things I mentioned, consumers know they shouldn't be snacking at night and they feel guilty. Most of that is around calories and health and nutrition and how they're going to look on the beach or whatever. Most people are not making the connection between sleep and their snacking. And I think that with all these big companies paying attention and chiming in, people will start to notice that. And that bodes well for the category that's coming. I don't see how this does not end up being $1 billion category because of all the things that we've mentioned. I think Pepsi, Unilever, Nestle, and everybody else in the snack space, Kellogg's, Mondelez, they all know that almost half of all snacking is happening at night. They know people are making unhealthy choices. So I think the category is coming. And in terms of what it means for us as being a takeover target, look, none of these guys are in the space yet. Typically they take a wait and see approach in new categories these days. They're not typically going to launch into a new category against a startup at this early because we haven't yet proven that consumers care enough. But once we do that, and we think that 2022 is going to be a huge year for that because of the hotel, if we're in 8, 10, 12,000 hotels by this time next year, it's going to bring a lot of attention to the category. It's going to bring a lot of consumption. It's going to drive our revenues really significantly higher. And I think that once the time is right, all these companies have to decide and think about what do they think this nighttime snack category is going to look like in 2023, 2024, 2025. Look, with almost half of all snacking happening at night, the entire landscape could change. If one company is able to come along and dominate the nighttime snack segment because they get there first, it really can change. I mean, in the snack space, these guys are clawing at each other for decimals of market share. So I think it's going to get really exciting. Look, we've got to take care of our business first. And that means, continuing to grow revenues and sales. Last year, our fiscal year ended June 30th. We more than doubled our net revenue. We need to keep growing exponentially over the next year or two. And I think we're going to have a really big push. And I think the hands are going to be forced. Pepsi knows how important this is. Unilever does. Nestle does. Everybody's going to follow their lead. There can only be one leader, though, Aaron, and that we think going to be us.
Right. So Sean, we talked about it last time. We talked about it again today about the potential for a takeover. I see this question in the chat, and this is going to be our last question because we are out of time. But what is NightFood's plans for uplisting, and do you see maybe like the takeover potentially happening before the uplist, or which you think is more likely to come first?
It's a great question. I mean, we're moving forward as a company every day. I think once we start seeing the revenue growth from the hotel business and the effect that will have on our supermarket business, I think we'll be in position to really put a firm timeline in place for the uplist. I think 2022 is absolutely realistic, in my opinion. In terms of a takeover, I mean, look, it really depends. I do think the hotel piece will put us in a very unique strategic position. It's one thing to be a really fast growing company in traditional verticals, and that will bring a lot of attention from the big conglomerates. But if we're able to run out and build a footprint in the hotels that shows that we're going to be a real player there, it really minimizes the chances of any secondary player to come in and try to knock us off the perch. So strategically, it's really important to dominate that vertical because it's very difficult for anybody else to come in and compete. So if that happens, and if a lot of the growth comes from the hotels and we're able to scale that as quick as I think we can, look, we've already fielded calls from some of the companies that we've mentioned on this call, the big global giants. So it's going to happen. I don't know the timeline, and I'm not going to try to put one against the other, but if the hotel thing goes as fast as I think it can, then there's going to be acquisition talks, I believe, in anywhere from 12 to 18 to at max 24 months.
Wow. Well, congrats on the growth, Sean. Thank you again for sending us the ice cream. I'll let you know when it's gone so that maybe, we'll submit an order to get some more. This time we'll, buy it. So thank you again, Sean, for coming on. Again, the ticker is NGTF, traded right now on the over-the-counter markets, but, we'll see if that uplisting comes soon.
Hey, thanks so much, Aaron. I really appreciate you guys having me on.
Of course. Talk soon.
Thanks. Take care.
All right, y'all. That was Sean Folkson, CEO of NightFood. I'm going to go ahead and drop the website in the chat if you want to go ahead and get that free pint, or maybe just order the 8 pints like we got. There are some fun flavors in there, like Sean talked about, the pickles for 2. My favorites were the cold brew coffee one and the cookies or the cookie dough one. All right, I'm going to go ahead and bring my good friend on the Power Hour, I think for the first time ever. And that is Benzinga's very own Elliot Lane. Elliot, let me look for the universal sign of ready, maybe a thumbs up or something. And okay. He's ready. He's giving me the double thumbs up. Elliot, how are we doing?
I'm good, man. I think this is my first time on Power Hour. I'm always a late guy. I'm like at 4 p.m. I don't know if any of your audience watch at 4 p.m., but that is where I live on this channel. How are you, man?
I'm good, Elliot. So yeah, Elliot is typically hosting or co-hosting the Cannabis Hour. And along that note, as you can see the graphic on Elliot's screen, the Benzinga Cannabis Capital Conference, and on the bottom right of our screen, that's what we're here to talk about, Elliot. Correct?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yeah, it's exciting, man. I'm really excited for this. Y'all, if you don't know, Benzinga has a pretty robust events platform, and we support a lot of emerging markets, a lot of small and micro cap companies with this events portion of what Benzinga does. We've been doing it since 2015. Cannabis and fintech are really the main industries that we've been in since before the pandemic, in which case we expanded. But cannabis is something that we are heavily involved in. We know pretty much every major player in the industry and work with them consistently. LUV is keynoting this event. They just made a very large acquisition, becoming the largest player in the United States, led by Kim Rivers. We have the business partner of Seth Rogen, Mikey Moore, will be there. Jason Wild, who heads up TerraSim. They just made a massive acquisition in the space. a lot of representation here from large MSOs, but a lot of representation for ancillary plays as well. So people who, aren't plant touching, they don't touch the cannabis plant, but they do service the industry. There's a ton of investment opportunities here, and I'm excited for it. That was long-winded. Long-winded answer your question, Aaron.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, there's so many different, exciting speakers here. Kim Rivers, of course, the CEO of Trulieve, which, as you mentioned, has become, one of the largest players in the United States. Of course, CFO from Akerna. We've had Jessica Billingsley, CEO of Akerna, on the show before. So a lot of companies that we know very well. Anything that you are particularly excited about, Elliot?
Oh man, well, I mean, I work with a ton of these companies directly, so calling one out might be. I don't know if I can do that. Yeah, but I'll say this, guys. I mean, there's a ton of value in cannabis investments right now, and even if you just put them on your watch list, if you don't want to grab a share, grab 100 shares, whatever, however large of an investment you want to make in this industry, it's gonna grow. And it's had a pretty down year since February, since that growth in February with the excitement of Biden coming in, and a lot has not come to fruition since February, and stocks have suffered for it. That being said, the fundamentals are there. The growth, both organically and inorganically, is massively supporting successful businesses in this industry. And I think whenever it does hit any type of legalization or safe banking, if these businesses just get banking and get rid of this awful tax on cannabis, that alone will support a massive growth in this industry. So there's a lot of reasons to look at this industry right now. And honestly, I mean, we don't give financial advice here on these shows, and I'll stick by that. You will make money eventually in cannabis. It's going to take, once we are all able to benefit legislatively, which hopefully is sooner rather than later, this industry is poised to take off.
Yeah, I mean, so Elliot, like you mentioned, this industry is, poised to grow. If you're an investor, you can make money, but like any emerging market, you're going to have winners and losers. And I think by attending conferences like this and hearing from the companies themselves, it gives you an edge in being able to identify, okay, do I want to be invested in, this one or this one? Because we all want to find what's going to become, the big player in the industry before it blows up. So I know you're busy setting up for the conference, but I got two quick questions for you. First is, what about people, that may be watching right now that aren't able to attend in New York this weekend?
You'll be able to watch it right here on YouTube. If you're an individual investor, you'll have access to the content here. And the cool thing about that is you'll also, I believe, PowerHour will be popping in, or some of these other shows will be popping in, giving their insights on the content as well. So it's a little bit more of a cool interactive segment on YouTube. If you do want to network, though, we do have a virtual event platform where every in-person attendee will also have a profile, and you can reach out and set virtual meetings. And I think it's like $47, y'all, to make a meeting with a CEO of a large cannabis company. Now, I can't guarantee they're going to take it, but that being said, like, if you're actually interested in investing, this is an opportunity for you to connect with decision makers. And you can do that, the website on the bottom right of your screen, bzcannabis.com.
Got it. And then my second question was, for people that are able to attend in person, with New York's, laws, will there be samples there?
Nope. No, man. So listen, y'all, there's a lot of, disconnect when it comes to cannabis consumption and these events. It requires licenses to sell, not necessarily consume, but to have on site, just like it would alcohol. So the hotel is beholden to their legalities, and you will not be able to consume through our event. But that being said, if you are able to attend in person, I highly recommend. There's going to be some great networking. The conference is there. You can meet me. I host Cannabis Hour, Cannabis Daily. You can tell me what I'm doing wrong and what I can do better. I feel like it's everybody's dream. But it's going to be fun, y'all. You can get discounted rooms still in the room block. So take a day trip to New York, a couple day trip to New York, an extended weekend, and visit us there.
Beautiful. All right, Elliot. Well, thank you for hopping on. I'm sure we'll continue to talk about the conference in the coming days. Congrats on all the organization and work that's gone into it so far, but I'll hold off on my, official congratulations until the event has, occurred.
My man, I appreciate it, Aaron. Thanks for having me on. Y'all, we hope to see you there. If not, watch it. Let us know what you think. We'll see you later.
Of course. Thank you. Have a great rest of your Monday.
You too.
All right, y'all. That was Elliot Lane. Elliot Lane 10 on Twitter if you're interested in the cannabis industry. It should be a great time. If you're unable to make it in person, like we said, you can sign up virtually. So this is exciting. It truly is, because this is actually how Benzinga, one of the ways that Benzinga got our name out there and grew, 10 years ago, was we were one of the first media outlets, financial media outlets, to be covering the cannabis companies and cannabis stocks, before Forbes and Wall Street Journal and Bloomberg really wanted to touch this industry. We were doing it. So a lot of people that know us are like, yeah, I read your articles on cannabis companies, 10 years ago or whatever. So this is one industry that's like very dear to our hearts at Benzinga. So it's one of our favorite and biggest conferences. So any support that y'all are able to give is much appreciated. With that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this episode of Power Hour today. We will be back tomorrow, noon Eastern, as we are every day. No Get Technical today. We're kind of rearranging our live streaming schedule, and Neil's really busy this week, so he may not be on as much. But if you love Neil and you're going to miss him on Get Technical, go ahead and shoot him an email, neil@benzinga.com, and say, hey, Neil, I can't handle you not being on stream every day. We need you more. Maybe that will sway his decision. How do you sign up virtually? Flawless Victory Investments asks. Go to bzcannabis.com. Right there on the bottom of the screen. I'll go ahead and post that in chat as well. bzcannabis.com. You can go ahead and sign up virtually. You'll be able to tune in, but if you want to be able to virtually network like Elliot was talking about, you do have to go ahead and register, which is, I think he said $47, but we'll give you a lot of access. Flawless Victory. Maybe try, let's see, what set am I on right now? I'll drop this link in the chat, Flawless Victory, and see if you can do that. Yeah, Coupon boy, we could buy NightFoods, but the problem is they want someone like PepsiCo, like Unilever, like Kellogg's that already has the infrastructure to take it to the next level, right? We would have to create a whole new vertical of snack distribution. So I don't think it would make as much sense as if one of those big companies went in and bought it. And it sounds like Sean is pretty confident that a buyer like that is going to come in. I mean, he said they've already had discussions with a few of them. Flawless Victory. So the $47 is if you want to register and you get access to that virtual event platform to where you can network with different people. You can say, oh, hey, the CFO from Akerna is going to be there. I want to talk to them. You can send them a message. That's if you register. If you don't register, you can still tune in for free on our YouTube. I hope that clears that up. All right, y'all. I'm going to go ahead and end the show for today. We'll be back on tomorrow. If you have any questions, feedback, concerns, please shoot us an email at shows@benzinga.com. We love taking advice and feedback from the crowd. It allows us to get better, and we truly take it to heart. So I appreciate y'all tuning in today. Smash the like and subscribe if you have not already. And with that, I'll see y'all tomorrow.